It's time for Pod of the Dead. Join us!
Hello and welcome to Pod of the Dead, the internet horror film club that nobody asked for. I am your humble curator, Natasha.
And I am your final girl, Nicholas. On today's episode, we are covering the 2001 horror film, Frailty.
You the agent in charge of the case?
That's right. What can I do for you?
I'm here because I can't live with what I know anymore. And listen, this may sound a little bit crazy, but I know who the Gaotan killer is.
What makes you think that?
You hadn't even heard me out yet, and already you doubt me.
They were raised to obey their father,
Go do some homework.
to love him, to trust him,
Night, boys. Sleep tight.
Don't let those bed bugs bite.
until
Wake up. Got something to tell you.
What's wrong?
There are demons among us. I can see the demons, while other people can't.
I'm scared, Dad.
Nothing that crazy could be real.
The angel told me that God would be sending weapons.
Maybe you just dreamed it. Maybe you're not right in the head.
God will be sending a list of the first 7 demons.
These are people's names.
And they'll look like people, but they're not.
Dad made up this whole thing. Do you understand?
Well, if it has to be done, it has to be done.
Is that true?
Why would I make it up?
It's all a big lie. I don't want to run away.
You are hiding something from me.
What is it you think I'm hiding?
When I lay my hands on them, I'll reveal them for what they truly are.
I got a pretty good idea what them bodies are.
I'll tell.
Craziest thing I've heard in a long time.
Check the rose garden.
I don't believe a word of it.
But it's true.
Bill Paxton,
Those were demons. Why can't you see that?
Matthew McConaughey,
Tell me the truth.
Sometimes truth defies reason.
You're crazy.
Only demons should fear me. You're not a demon, are you?
Well, there's the whole movie. Frailty is a American psychological horror film directed by and starring Bill Paxton. This was his directorial debut. This movie also stars Matthew McConaughey, as you heard, and Powers Booth, which is the coolest name in existence.
Hell of a name.
The plot follows a strange relationship between 2 young brothers and their father, who believes that he has been commanded by God to kill demons disguised as people.
So this is the last episode for No Unsolicited Nick Pick March. And
Yeah.
it's also our Patreon voted on episode. So this was a movie that you had picked, Natasha, to throw into the hat for our patrons to vote on, right? So what history do you have with this film, or what made you pick it in the first place?
It was recommended by a friend a while ago. And when I Googled it, the synopsis sounded extremely interesting. This is the first time watch for me. Yeah, that's really it. I gotta say the synopsis doesn't really match the interest of the movie, I don't think.
Interest, what do you mean?
Or I guess interest isn't the right word. It wasn't as interesting as I was anticipating.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, this was a first time watch for me as well. I'd seen the cover like forever. And it's one of those weird things that, like, seeing that this came out in 2001 and watching it, it feels older than that. It feels like mid 90s.
Yeah.
So that was kind of jarring in a way, like considering what came out in 2001. 2001, for horror films, we have, let's see here, The Forsaken, Bones, Shadow of the Vampire, Dracula 2000, Valentine, Jeepers Creepers came out this year. 13 Ghosts came out this year. The Others and Hannibal was the highest grossing horror film. So, like, looking at it from, 13 Ghosts and
Yeah.
Jeepers Creepers. This feels so much older than that, which, I mean, might have something to do with the fact that Bill Paxton is directing this and it's his directorial debut, and he's wanting it felt, I was really shocked to see that this wasn't a Stephen King adaptation, because
Yes.
it feels like a Stephen King adaptation.
I thought the same thing. Stephen King gave this movie high regard, though.
Yeah, he was probably like, did I write this?
It sounds like something I dreamt.
Was
It definitely has this like watching it with mom as a kid. It's on USA in the middle of the day vibe to it.
Yeah. So also for 2001, our other films that came out, the top 10 box office for this year was, and also this is the money that they made in this year. The only reason I'm saying this is because number 10 definitely made way more money than the number 10 spot.
Okay.
Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring is number 10 because it came, I believe they all came out like in December.
Yeah.
Hannibal, Planet of the Apes remake, Jurassic Park 3, Pearl Harbor, The Mummy Returns, Rush Hour 2, Monsters Inc., Shrek, and the number 1 film for the year, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
Whoop, whoop. See, you're just upset that Harry Potter got first and the Lord of the Rings got last.
It didn't get last. It got 10th. And it was only out for like a week.
It got last in the top 10.
Sure, whatever. Go to hell. So that's kind of like our world that we're living in, 2001. You know, these films being made probably in 2000 and everything. What do you think its budget was? First-time director, known actor, though. Bill Paxton has a long history of being killed by aliens and by Terminators and by fucking everything else under the sun. You know, I was really upset that he didn't go, game over, man, in this. Why don't we make her the boss? You know, I didn't get any of that. I did get some overacting. Oh, him and aliens and stuff like that. He's just always losing his mind. Bill Paxton has like that. I'm not comparing him to Nicolas Cage, but he has that penchant for overacting and stuff. And I'm here for it usually. Just like so over the top. But
man,
yeah, so
there's
what do you
definitely a difference between his overacting and Nicolas Cage's. That's for damn sure.
It's like Bill Paxton's like aware that he's overacting and he's like, oh no, that's a little too much. Nicolas Cage doesn't know what overacting is. It's just how he acts.
Yeah, that might be what it is.
A, B, C.
Anyway, how much was the budget? The budget for this was tiny. We're going to go $1.5 million.
It was $11 million.
God damn.
All of this was like shot in California and stuff. It's set in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some things that I saw that like they were able to do with this budget because like they had the money. So much so that like there's like just a little kid that's like, hey, do you want to stay over at my house tonight? And they literally flew this kid out from Texas just to shoot that because Paxton wanted this to be a very Texas movie because him, McConaughey, and Powers are all Texas natives. So he wanted it to be very Texas. And it kind of has that feel.
Yeah, it does. I think that's a waste of money to get an authentic Texan child.
When you got that money, you got to spend that money. You understand how a budget works? If we don't spend it all, they'll give us less money next time.
Well, or you spend it all and then you get this out of it and they still give you less next time.
So what do you think its box office was on its $11 million budget in 2001?
$10 million.
You think it lost money?
Yes.
Yeah, it made 17.4. It barely broke over, you know, like I think Paxton has like one more film under his belt as a director and then that was about it.
Yeah. It's not a bad idea. Where does this fall in? Where does this fall in Matthew McConaughey's lineage of movies?
This is early McConaughey. This is after, you know, all right. But this is before he becomes McConaughey, you know?
Okay.
So it was cool to see like a young Matthew McConaughey playing a role like this, that he wasn't the heartthrob and stuff, because he does end up doing that for a long stretch and then he gets kind of tired of that and starts taking on like legit dramatic roles instead of like failure to launch and shit like that. Or
I forgot about that movie.
Is that one of his movies? It probably is.
I think so.
It is a movie.
Yeah, this is true.
But yeah, this is earlier on in his career. Obviously before I started liking him, I guess is the best way for me to put it. Right.
Okay.
So let's see here. The production of this film, there's not a lot of like ins and outs of it, because on screen, it's not like what's the way to put it? It's not like the cinematography was cool or anything like that. It does definitely have like a top tier made for TV movie quality.
Yes.
Like it's the best made for TV movie.
Top tier, woo!
It is like, because it's not like McConaughey and Paxton and Powers Booth. They all do a really good job at their roles. This is my thing with it, though, is Paxton.
Yeah.
You can you can feel that he's just reading the script.
Yes.
And McConaughey, not so much. Powers Booth, it does as well. Like where it's just very, now why'd you go and do that? Like it's just very scripted. Like
you don't feel that McConaughey was just reading this, like the majority of the movie, he's sitting there just stone faced.
Well, he narrates the entire film,
like
and that was done after the film too. Like I think
he literally was reading off a script.
I know, but it doesn't feel it as much, I guess, than like, because he is retelling a story. Yeah. So like it feels a little more natural, and this is why this happened and this is why that happened. Where when Bill Paxton is like, guys, an angel came and talked to me, like all that kind of stuff, it feels like nobody talks like that, I think. No. It feels it's very weird. But there are some interesting things about this, though. So, like, this story is loosely based on the case of American serial killer Joseph Callinger, who murdered 3 people and tortured 4 families. He committed these crimes with a 13-year-old son, Michael, between 1974 and 1975 in New Jersey. He pleaded insanity, claiming God told him to kill. So it definitely is like, hey, I heard this. But at the same time, it didn't do what, Natasha?
Yes.
3 of the films for your month are based on a true story.
They are. Realizing that now.
It didn't say it at the beginning, but like it definitely is like, these are based on real accounts by real people. The names and locations have been changed. Law and Order. Dung dung.
These are their stories.
Yeah. It has that. It kind of has that feel.
It does. Yeah. I genuinely
by Dick Wolf.
I genuinely enjoy these types of stories. It's just this one, man. It could have been, I feel like there's a lot left to want out of this movie.
Well, it feels of its time, not visually. Like that's why, like it visually and everything, it feels like mid 90s. It feels like it came out right after 7.
Yeah.
Like like the 2 movies that I was like, this feels like a combination of 7 meets Identity with John Cusack. I don't know if you've seen that. And then I was actually kind of surprised Identity came out a couple years after this. So I was like, well, I better take that step back, where Identity, I guess, technically reminds me a little bit of Frailty stuff, just with like the mystery aspect and everything.
Right.
Because like watching this, I was like, is this a horror film? And then I was like really kind of sitting there. I was like, well, Psycho's a horror film, so this is a horror film. Because it has that. It is a very classic horror tale. I think like I don't know what I went in expecting. I honestly didn't go in expecting anything, because I knew that this was like early 2000s, so McConaughey's not McConaughey, and Bill Paxton, like this is post Twister and everything, and he's directing and so I'm very familiar with both of these guys, and I was just like, I don't know what I'm in for. It's been around for a while, and people tend to like this film, so I checked it out. Didn't have a choice. So it was It was all right. Like it's not the worst thing we've covered on this podcast.
No, it's not even the worst of the month.
No. God, what was that? All the others but Nosferatu.
Shut your mouth.
But what was kind of cool though is the soundstage work that was done during the shooting of this film was on the same lot and just like basically across the street from the production of Legally Blonde. And Bill Paxton would like come out and he'd be like covered in blood and see Reese Witherspoon in her pink Chanel outfits holding her poodle. And he'd just be like, hey, how's work going today?
I would love to see pictures of that.
Yeah, like that's some good shit right there, But so this came out in 2001. It's 2005. We got 24 years of time has passed.
Yep.
So it's our job now to remake this film. So Pot of the Dead Productions brings you executive producer Natasha's film, Frailty. What do we got?
This is what I want out of this movie. Because like I said, the concept is very good. I want to take that concept and just put better actors in the roles.
Okay.
So instead of Powers Booth, although that name is awesome, I want Tom Hanks to play the FBI agent.
FBI agent Wesley Doyle. Now
There
it's
we go.
Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks now?
Mid 2000s Tom Hanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like the Da Vinci Code era.
Yeah, I think that's good. Just like a smart, no nonsense older guy.
All right.
And I really like Tom Hanks. So that was really all the thought I put into that. I feel like he would fit that role.
Okay.
Or the dad, Bill Paxton's character.
His name is literally Dad Meeks. He does not have a first name.
I found it even creepier when I looked it up. It was Father Meeks, which really plays into the Texas Christian vibes of this movie. I think I would cast Craig T. Nelson. From
Coach.
From Coach, also from Parenthood, where he played an amazing dad.
He's also the are you talking about a younger Craig T. Nelson? Obviously not him now because he's very old.
Yeah, I'm thinking like Coach era.
Okay, yeah.
Coach, yeah.
He's
Craig
also
T. Nelson.
in The Devil's Advocate. He's a client to the people. I don't want to give anything of that away.
Client to the people.
to the company. So
got it. Matthew McConaughey would be played by Ethan Hawke. So Matthew McConaughey's character.
Okay, Adam Meeks.
Yes.
Is that all you?
Nope, I have two more.
Oh, okay. Did you cast the kids?
I did cast the kids.
Oh, okay.
I cast the kids as so young Adam would be a young Jake Gyllenhaal.
Okay.
And a young Fenton would be a young River Phoenix.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
You know what you should have done? It should have been a young River Phoenix and a young Joaquin Phoenix, as they are actually brothers.
I get that, but that's not what I wanted.
Shut up.
I was watching Sunday Morning this morning, and I saw Jake Gyllenhaal doing Othello, and I thought he would be a great young Adam.
There you go.
And that's how I cast.
And you are directing this, I take it? Are you doing
Of course. I am once again directing this.
You're eating up as much of the budget as possible.
Right.
All right.
I mean, if I'm getting a time machine for Jake Gyllenhaal and River Phoenix, and Ethan Hawke and Craig T. Nelson, a lot of it's going towards a time machine.
Okay. All right. Right on. All right.
Gotta cut corners somewhere.
So, all right, that's what you're doing. Let's see what I got going on here. So
Yeah.
my director, I don't know if I've used him, but I probably have. I'm going with Osgood Perkins. I probably have used him before. But Osgood Perkins, director of Longlegs, The Monkey, The Black Coat's Daughter. I think that he could get that mood like really well. I only cast 3 people. So I only casted the 3 adults in here because I don't give a shit about kid actors. Like realistically, you know what? The 2 kids, young Fenton and young Adam, I'm just going to say it's the Culkin brothers. It's going to be Macaulay Culkin and Kieran Culkin. There, right off the top of my head. The older brother's going to be Macaulay Culkin. The younger one's Kieran Culkin. There, done.
Real creative, Nick.
I don't give a shit about kid actors. So, Dad Meeks, I'm going to have Colin Farrell. I think that he can play that like loving character, but then that like obviously like fucking off character really well. Dad Meeks would be Aaron Taylor Johnson, which I think I've said on here before. He is the guy that played in the new Craven movie. He's Craven. He was in Bullet Train. He's been in a lot. He was in Nosferatu. He's the guy that he owns the shipping stuff.
Oh, he's Frederick? Okay.
Yes. He's Frederick in Nosferatu.
Okay.
So that's who I've got as Adam Meeks. And then Agent Wesley Doyle, I have Idris Elba being cast in that role. I was trying to think of somebody that gave me that like commanding feel, and it was a toss up between him and Denzel Washington, but there's just something about Idris Elba that I really like. So
yeah,
that's my my production of Frailty. I'm just a producer. I don't direct. I'm not like you. I don't have an eye for cinema, I suppose. I just have the money. So, I'm not going to do that,
It's starting to just become like a necessity, I guess.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do.
Right.
I mean, Bill Paxton directed this. He stars in it. Like some people star direct, right? Like it all.
A good leader just gets the good people.
That's it.
And then you just let them do their thing.
Yeah,
I don't need to do anything because I got Tom Hanks, Craig T. Nelson, and Ethan Hawke.
You literally just have all of America's dads. Different eras of dads.
Yeah.
I just cast
awesome
in today's episode of Dad's Frailty. So, all right. So, let's go over our pros and cons. Well, no, not pros and cons. Not yet. Let's go over our scores for this film. So, kind of mixing it up, trying to make the podcast run a little smoother so we're not just reiterating over things.
Right.
So, I think that you're giving this film, with kind of what you've said and everything, maybe like a 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
think. Oh, you want me to
without giving anything really away, like
just the acting. Like I said, it had so much potential, but it was kind of boring.
Okay.
Just in general, I fell asleep and needed to watch this in 2 parts.
You haven't done that in a long time.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to this movie, and just there was something about Bill Paxton's acting that just wasn't captivating. And then hearing Matthew McConaughey's just like lull drum as he was talking with everything, it just lulled me to sleep.
Right on. That's fair.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you think I'm giving it?
I think you're going to give it a 6.
Yep, exactly. I'm giving it a 6. I'm
killing it this time.
I'll watch it again and stuff. There's, it fills a void that I don't tend to watch a lot of. This is definitely like, I could see this being a comfort watch for a lot of people because it's interesting enough. I just think that it drops the ball in some spots that I personally would rather it go. But Bill Paxton is not trying to make, a very graphic horror film. Like this movie gets its rated R in its language and its insinuated violence, because I think you only see and someone actually like wounded one time in the film.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Everything is like kind of insinuated with blood splatter here and there. And that's where I say like it definitely has that like Hitchcockian psycho, made for TV feel where it's not just like hacking up people.
Yeah.
So,
and I wish there was more like emotion, more tension, because there isn't anything to see. And usually I don't care to see the gore anyway, but there has to be something to fill that.
Yeah.
And that was just really lacking.
I mean, the tension was there with placing the hand on the head and just the
oh my God, don't even get me started.
Oh, we're gonna get there.
Okay.
All right. So from here on out, we're going to get into spoiler territory. All right. So if this is your first time listening to us, hello and welcome. We are an internet horror film club. So by that, at the end of every episode, we give out homework. So you can watch the film, come back next week for the next episode, and you can go beyond this point and not be spoiled, right? So this film is it's viewable. I believe it's on like Stars right now. I actually just ordered the Blu-ray because it was on sale, and I was like, "Fuck it!" Like, worst thing that happens is I own it. So just thickening up the collection here. But from here on out, we're going to start talking openly about Frailty. All right. So let's let God take the wheel and show us Frailty.
If you'd like to be part of our horror film club, make sure to follow us at Instagram, Threads, and Facebook at Pod of the Dead. All of our episodes can be found at podofthedeadorelse.com or wherever you stream music and podcasts. If you have movie recommendations or questions for us, email us at podofthedead666@gmail.com. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review. Or else.
With all that being said, Natasha, would you like to read me that 10 out of 10 review that you yourself wrote?
Ugh. Frailty.
Ugh. Was this Charlie Brown?
Yeah, just an audible. Frailty is an excellent and highly underrated psychological horror thriller directed and starring the legendary Bill Paxton in his directional debut. And here he crafts a disturbing yet riveting storytelling that relies on intelligent conflict and builds taut suspense and unnerving tension throughout its runtime. Oof. The movie is simply brilliant and effective and holds up well even to this day, thanks to the classic old school approach to the material. This could have easily been something entirely different if handled by anyone else. But the direction by Bill Paxton is beautifully crafted, and he handles the unsettling material with delicate care and turns the well-written script into one of the most unique and well-crafted horror films of the decade.
Oh,
wow.
Damn.
Okay.
And
if
I remember, I think this is like one of the more recent reviews. So this is like within the last handful of years.
Wow. So is it the decade of the early 2000s?
I guess that's what they're saying.
Now.
Of its decade.
Okay. The realistic approach is something that really gets under your skin and digs deeper than many horror films that came before or even after it, which makes the horror elements of this more unsettling. The performances here are outstanding, with Bill Paxton giving a chilling yet compelling performance as the religious fanatic father. He balances the tonal character shifts extremely well. Matthew McConaughey gives a strong performance, as does Powers Booth, who plays his role to perfection. Matt O'Leary and Jeremy Slumpter each give fantastic performances as the young brothers in flashback segments, and that adds real weight to this story. Overall, Frailty is a gripping masterpiece with many layers to its characters and storytelling that compel you to view it time and time again. This is definitely well worth the watch. So good, and check it out.
Now, I can understand, like, if I would have seen this when it came out, I can see it, like, fitting, like, being more up my alley or whatever, right? But 24 years removed from it, especially when it feels like it's 30 years old, like, I can't get over the fact that it's like, it feels like it's made for TV.
Right. And that's not something I don't think we've ever said. Like, I know exactly what you mean by that sentiment.
Yeah, it's strange. And I think it has a lot to do with Bill Paxton's delivery as the character, because while you were reading that, I thought realistically this movie might be better served if McConaughey and Paxton's roles were switched.
Yeah,
like,
I could see that.
Because I don't feel very few, like, okay, Bill Paxton at no time feels legitimately menacing.
Right.
The words he says at times are menacing, but I just think of, like, if McConaughey were saying those things, his delivery on lines and stuff would have so much more venom to them than what Paxton seems is capable of doing. Or, I mean, considering he's directing this as well. This is exactly what he wanted his performance to be. The only time he says that he felt that he overacted was when he kills the sheriff and is burying the body and is like kind of like losing it because it's the first quote unquote person that he's murdered. He said that was a little over the top, but the rest of the film is over the top. Like,
but it's over the top and not in a good way. It's like, okay, I'm clearly not an actor, but it's almost like it's like a novice actor going in and being like, this is what acting is.
Mm-hmm.
This is how you do it.
Yeah.
And it just does, none of it connects. None of it seems real. So what he's saying just kind of is forgettable because how he says it isn't resonating.
Yeah. So that's to each their own, because obviously somebody out there, that was a 10 out of 10 they're giving it. So
it was. Wow. Give me that 1 out of 10, Nick.
All right. Let's see what we got here. Oh, thank God. Yours is shorter than the one that I sent you.
I know. I just kept scrolling with the one you sent me. Like, Jesus Christ.
All right, let's get the voice. I read the reviews before watching and was expecting to watch something that had never happened. If it was a low-budget movie, they spent way too much on it. McConaughey's acting wasn't much different than his Lincoln commercials. Monotone and boring. Booth wasn't much better. Normally, I would have bailed in the first 10 minutes, except for all the emphasis on the ending and all the last minute makes the movie. Oh, it's so exciting. You'll be terrified comments. I had to fight the urge to fast forward and get it over with. And in the end, I learned why the urge was so strong. Climax? No. Twist? No. Shock surprise? No. No. Bad? Yes. Boring? Yes. Waste of time? Yes. So that's the 1 out of 10.
Yeah. Well.
Now, I thought I had, I'll give it this. I thought I had this movie pegged.
Yeah.
Like early on. It does do like a twist thing that I didn't expect exactly, but I did. Like I just had like a different run. I thought Adam and Fenton were actually going to be the same person. That was my thing. And then it's just like, nope, I'm not Fenton. I'm Adam. I was like, oh, okay. And it just kind of goes down this road that I ultimately just found uninteresting.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things where, like, this story could be done really well. It's just that it feels like somehow the pieces are not in the order that would make it interesting.
Yes. I think the twist was cool to some extent, but how, once again, I feel like everything with this movie is just how it's done.
Yeah.
For him to just like in one line be like, well, if I was Fenton. So it took me a beat to be like, okay, what are you saying? Aren't you? Okay, so you're Adam. All right. So you're Adam. So you're the little one, not the big one. And then then I was curious as to why Fenton's storyline was even
mentioned,
necessary.
Yeah. And why he's a killer, but
exactly.
Yeah, there's something strange there. So before we just like start going into it, let's go through our pros. Yeah. Let's go through our pros and cons a little bit. So right. I'll let you start. You will be reading my pros and cons, and I'll try to explain a little bit, and then I will read yours. Do 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 do.
I figured you could just cut all of that.
Nope, no cuts.
Okay. So you're pro Matthew McConaughey. Oh my God, I don't even want to say it.
Say it. Read it properly.
Is all right. All right. All right.
That's right. No, you gotta say it right. Matthew McConaughey is all right. All right. All right.
Oh my God. Shall you say more?
I thought he did all right. Like realistically, no, seriously. Like I thought he did okay. Like I like listening to him talk. He's got a nice Southern drawl to his voice and everything, and it feels right. He looks like disheveled, like he's been through some shit. Like I think he did a good job. Like like I said, I think he would have been better as Dad Meeks. Now that I think about it, and then Paxton as Adam Meeks, but that's not the movie. So
I think it just would have been better without Bill Paxton.
You think anybody else in that role and just have
Yeah.
Paxton direct it and then put somebody in that role?
Right. Because now thinking about it, I don't think he would be believable in the backseat of the FBI's car either.
Yeah, true.
Next, you have Bill Paxton does a good job.
I think so. I think he does a good job of being the loving father that is like slipping. Now, mind you, here's another. Remember how I think on the last episode or something, I had a pro con?
Yeah.
Here's a pro con for you. Him under the car with the angel coming to
my
him, and it
God.
just cuts. I laughed out loud. It cuts back to him under the car and people just working, and then
Yeah.
just cuts back to him. Just fucking dying laughing. This is supposed to be a guy basically having a schizophrenic episode, thinking that, God is talking to him and all this stuff, or is it a schizophrenic episode? And there's this fucking angel like Gabriel with the flaming sword coming down, and I'm dying laughing. So that's a pro to me. It might be a con to others, but that's a reason to own this movie.
Oh my God. Sure. You say so.
I do.
Your last pro is the premise of the film is interesting.
Yeah, I thought I thought it was an interesting premise. God or a dad thinks God is talking to him and gets his kids to help him on a murder spree. And that's the thing that makes this a little more interesting than your standard run of the mill, is that it's a single father with his young children doing this. And that's the creepy aspect of this, is how he's fighting with the older one to get him to no, God will show you this, to the point that he locks him in a cellar for a week.
Over a week.
Yeah, that shit's that was probably one of the scarier, quote unquote, aspects of this, is just oh my God, this is fucking horrible. And then the younger son is doing the thing that he's just trying to get his dad's affection and approval. It's I saw it too, Dad, I saw it the whole time, yeah, Dad, I saw it, all this stuff. And I thought that was really well done. In little vignette pieces, this movie does do, this is why, I'm giving it the 6, right? It does really good stuff. It's just that the pieces feel out of place and stuff, where it kind of shoots itself in the foot, where any tension that it could have capitalized on, it kind of fumbled.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Or does Adam actually see it and he's not?
I know, that's
trying to get his dad's
the
approval.
ambiguity of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Going on to cons?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no. I'll read your pros. Read your pros. We'll go pros first, and then we'll go
They're
cons.
very small.
So, your pros, we've got the twist.
Yeah, that was the best part of the movie.
Okay.
In my eyes, was that was at least something that was interesting. It wasn't linear at that point, where the rest of the movie was him just telling the story, and you kind of almost knew the ending at the beginning when he started talking. So I was glad that there was a twist in there, especially the very end when they go to the sheriff, and the sheriff was him.
Oh no.
I liked that part.
I liked that reveal that he was the sheriff. I think that was done well, where it's just they try to call him earlier and he's not there. Now we go to check in, and oh shit, McConaughey.
Yeah, there he is in full suit.
See, now, is that what you're talking about, the twist? That, or the fact that he's actually Adam and not Fenton?
Both.
Because
the last 5 minutes of the movie were interesting.
Okay.
The wrap up. I liked the wrap up.
Okay.
More than the 95% of the rest of the movie, where he's taking him there, taking the FBI guy to the Rose Garden. But then there were some fumbles with that, of we talked about, knowing the whole premise of his brother being a serial killer. That part was weird. But the understanding of, I brought up Fenton, so everyone's hearing that I was Fenton in the FBI place, so they're looking for him, not me.
Yeah.
I liked how those cards all kind of fell into place.
Yeah.
So it was that the whole twist, the whole kit and caboodle at the very end was all interesting.
Yeah, the Adam Fenton twist, that's one of them that I think it kind of fumbled, because I was just kind of like, I think it's, that's where I was like, I think it's the same guy, and it's like, nope, they're switched. I was like, okay, it's still kind of gets to
basically
the same
the
point.
Same thing.
The twist that I did like though is that he's the sheriff, and I was like, that's fucking cool. I really like that. So yeah. Another pro that you have is the setting, like rural, small town. So
right, I liked that. It like the family dynamic seemed real. The dad, the mechanic dad with the 2 kids. Mom died in childbirth. They live in kind of this rundown farmhouse. I liked the setting. I liked the small town feel of it, because this ties into my other pro that I'll just jump into, which is the concept. The concept of this movie is jarring and chilling, because I could actually see this happening.
Yes.
Maybe not to this extent, but there is, the story that this is loosely based off of. Cult mentality falls into this concept of, like we have to slay the demons, lizard people, and all of that ties into this, where you see people and you go, that person's a demon. I can see it in their eyes. There are people that have that.
Yeah.
This just has that added like scary bit.
Well, because like
of the kids being involved too.
That idea, like what you're just saying of like that, I can see it in their eyes. Those kind of people have a look in their eyes, right? And I think Bill Paxton does that well, of just that like full true belief. He believes what he's saying. So, all right.
Yeah, I give you that. Like I guess in watching this, you're supposed to believe, or you're supposed to kind of be on Fenton's side for a lot of it, of like Fenton doesn't believe. But I, as the viewer, was watching this, not necessarily thinking that he was actually seeing the demons, but believing that Bill Paxton and Adam truly believed in what they were seeing.
Gotcha.
I don't think that it was real, but I think to them, their perception of it was real.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm not, and this kind of goes into my cons, which we'll get to, but there's so much that it tries to be ambiguous, like how the ending is, but there's certain things that it's like, that is clearly not an ambiguous thing. There's one plot hole that is so big you can drive that beautiful Chevy van through. I love that van.
Yeah.
I had to look it up. It's like a 1963 G10 Chevy fucking van, and
it's now in your driveway.
Oh, I want one. They're like 10 grand. It's so cool looking. Like I just love that kind of van. But what was I saying?
The plot hole.
Yeah, the plot hole. You can drive that through. So was that all your pros?
Yeah, that was it.
Okay, so I'll just start with the cons then.
Yeah.
That I don't know if I wrote this in my cons, but that's a pro, is the van. Pro.
You forgot that one.
Yeah.
But your first con is some huge plot holes.
Yep. And that plot hole is the fact that, so we are to believe that Adam Meeks, played by Matthew McConaughey, goes into the FBI and does not leave a single fingerprint.
Ah. And I never thought to look.
And he's also a sheriff, so I believe that his fingerprints should automatically be in a database.
Uh-huh.
I think that's how that works. So he motherfucker cannot get away with this.
Right.
Because they use the thing of like the ambiguity though, of they put in the tape and you can't see his face. So like God's protecting him, right? So like, but that is a fact. We are seeing that from the FBI people. So the ambiguity is not there. He is being protected by God. They are being blinded. That because it's not just distortion on the video. It is literally of his face. So the ambiguity is not there. This movie is pro-Christian propaganda.
Yeah.
There's my con.
That's a very, very good point. Yeah, where you're supposed to believe one thing at the beginning, or not, you're led to believe one thing that it's not real, but then you're right. At that point, you're seeing that there's outward like
You're seeing it from the perspective of the FBI
Of everybody.
agents.
Yeah.
So I think it would, if it would have just been that the video was just distorted and everything, I can't fucking see it, then that works. But it's the fact that it's literally his face as he's moving, the distortion goes with him.
Yeah.
That means the dad is actually right. And he is actually seeing everything.
Right.
Therefore, he is a good guy. Like, that ruins the movie.
It does. Very good point.
Just that little scene, just the fingerprints, I can slide by. It's like, that's a plot hole. This though actually fucks up the ambiguity.
Right. Because it's not just static, like you said. Yeah. Oh, man. Way to go, Bill Paxton. You ruined your own storyline.
You actively fucked up your movie.
Yeah.
What other cons do I got on there?
You have one that we've already mentioned. Even though it's from 2000, it feels much older.
Yeah.
And you're not a huge fan of movies that are narrated all the way through.
Yeah, there are very few movies. The only one that comes to mind that I do like that is like Fight Club. And maybe I haven't watched it in a long time, but I think Shawshank Redemption is as well. Because I think Morgan Freeman narrates throughout the entire film. Beyond that, it's not something that's like cool to me. If I want a narrated story, it's either going to be an audio book or a book or something like that. In film, because I'm not a big fan of, so then this happened. We just get this long, like fucking half-hour flashback. It's like, I don't know. There's got to be a better way to do it.
Yeah. I'm with you on that one. I didn't add that to my cons. I didn't think about it, but you're right. I just kind of, and I think that was why I felt that it was so boring, because you're just waiting for it to, okay, this was 20 years ago. Can we just get the story moving?
Yeah.
I had that like impatient vibe for the majority of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Your cons, you've got one con, and it's acting was either lackluster or over the top. There's no middle ground.
No. And that's our dear Mr. Paxton. Like so we have Matthew McConaughey, who's just stone-faced in the back of the car, like looking listless as he's talking and narrating.
Also looks like he's been up for a fucking week.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I guess he probably was.
Yeah, no.
He's seeing demons and killing people, whatever.
Yeah, he's fucking insane.
But more so, my problem is with Bill Paxton and touching the foreheads of people and just talking about like, we're going to get the weapons.
Yeah.
God will bring them. Like all of that just seemed just so like, it just wasn't good. It just wasn't good.
I like the axe. It is an imposing, awesome axe. And then the name Otis on it.
Yeah.
Right? Did you see where this comes from?
I just saw that he wanted it to have like an entity of its own.
So what happened is, he wanted this axe to be a character. And supposedly this is, the myth about this and everything is that he saw like a homeless man on the street, like in Los Angeles or wherever. And he wanted to give him some money. And the guy was like, I don't fucking want your money. Like kind of being like, I don't need charity. So to give him money, he told him that he was working on a movie and he wanted to buy the rights to his name.
Oh.
So he gave him the money to buy the rights. So this man's name was Otis, and that's why the axe is named Otis, which I thought was kind of cool. Whether that's true or not, I thought that was at least more interesting than a lot of the things that happen in this film.
Right. That's the most interesting thing about this movie.
Yeah. So, so I'm just, it does feel like whoever wrote this script saw Seven and was like, ooh, hold my beer. I want to do something like that, which more power to you, because like we have, the car ride with the cop. You have that in Seven where we're explaining what's going on and I'm going to take you to the place, all this kind of stuff. But if I would 100% see a remake of this.
Yes.
Like nowadays you get someone like I said, an Osgood Perkins, a Jordan Peele, somebody that's got like an interesting view. Hell, Mike Flanagan even.
I can't believe you would say that.
I would be interested to see it, like it probably is going to just have like the worst last 20 minutes of a movie I've seen ever, but
I don't think I would prefer Flanagan to do this. Osgood Perkins, yeah. I'm trying to think who did Eggers possibly make it dark.
He's not going to do this. I mean,
he's not going to do. Dude, no one's going to do this. That's why there isn't a remake.
Yeah, because it's one of those things where it's like, I don't think it's fair, but it is how I look at it. You know, no one's going to remake 7 because 7 is perfect for what it is, right?
Right.
This one is prime for a remake.
Ari Aster?
What? You're just pulling just the hot A24 guys.
Yeah.
Got any other directors?
But no. But thinking about Hereditary and Midsummer, there's that religious guise to it and that folk guise to it.
I can see that.
That fits that. Okay. I also really like Ari Aster.
Yeah, I know. you have your Mount Rushmore of directors, and you refuse to learn any other directors' names.
Kind of, yeah.
It's kind of like Tim Burton with Johnny Depp. It's like there's other actors. What?
Yeah. This is my lane. I'm gonna stay in it until I just exhaust everything in this lane, and then I'll learn something new.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But the more interesting parts of this, I think, are it has a feeling of kind of, what is it, Stand By Me and stuff.
Yes.
Like the whole, you know, it's the 70s and it feels like the summer, and he's making him dig a 10-foot deep 15 by 15 hole, and I just
somehow he managed to do it in 2 days.
No, it took him a week.
Oh,
I think it took him 5 days is what he says. His hands are blistered and all this stuff. And I like the back and forth between the dad and him with like I bet you didn't even pray while you're down there. He's like, not once. And just like this whole thing of like he was like hating his God and all this stuff. So it's all this stuff that's kind of interesting, but then at the end of it, it's like, nope, God did this and gave me the weapons and stuff like that. But the abduction scenes, this was something that I thought it was going to be, considering it's very Christian, right? Like God is blah, blah, blah. Our first person that we kidnapped looks like a nurse.
Yeah.
The second one kind of, he says, is killing babies and stuff. I thought this motherfucker was going after people that worked at an abortion clinic.
Oh,
which I thought was so much more interesting.
Yeah.
Like
that would also be an interesting twist.
Using his like delusions and stuff mixed with like, you know, because fucking Christians are just like, oh, abortion, blah, 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 you know, in rural Texas and all this.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, motherfuckers like going okay. And then it didn't do that. That's where I'm saying it's like there were some things that I thought it was going to do that I thought was going to be a lot more interesting. But at the end of the day, it's no. At the end of the day, it is literally telling us that God talked to Dad Meeks and Adam saw and believed and followed through with it. We have no idea why Fenton is going on a murderous rampage. He's the God's hand. Can you explain to me Fenton as an adult?
So Fenton is just another serial killer. That's it. That's cut and dry. Okay. He's killed people. He keeps them as trophies in his basement.
Oh, but he is a demon, though.
He's a demon. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why Adam ends up killing him. But Adam is the God's hand killer.
Correct. That's right.
He's telling on himself.
Yeah. I get. Yeah, I didn't miss that.
But
it was just the whole
being
thing.
Because they
literally just a demon that is a serial killer.
Right. That's it. Because Father Meeks said, like, you know, which is also interesting that he went against quote unquote God's will, because God told Father Meeks that Fenton was a demon. Fenton and then Meeks. Oh my God.
Dad.
And then the dad refused to believe it.
Yeah, because like it's that whole Abraham thing of like killing the kid and because God told him to, but he's actively just going, I won't believe it. And it's like, what? Why?
Right.
Like I understand.
But if it's God,
you believe it all. So what's I don't know.
Right. You locked him and tortured him and didn't feed him.
Only gave him a glass of water a day.
And if he is a demon, then you're not killing a human, you're killing the demon, which is why it was okay to kill all those other people.
Yeah, I don't know.
But then he got so upset when he actually killed that man. which was the sheriff, right?
Yeah, which is like the first time you see blood splattered on Bill Paxton. Like all the other kills happen, like, and that's the stuff that's like, it is actually, these are actually demons, you know, like, because you even do get to see these visions
later on,
and that's the shit that's like, that's dumb. Like,
I agree.
One's like a pedophile child killer, and the other is like a prostitute or something. I don't know what the fuck.
Can't remember.
She killed
what
someone
she did.
in bed and she's smoking a cigarette.
That's right. She like slit someone's throat.
Yeah, it's just what? Okay.
Yeah,
like,
I wish they wouldn't have shown any of that.
Yeah, don't show us the visions. Do the tape in a better way.
Yeah.
And then you're fine. Then the ambiguity's there.
Yeah. And then we can just believe that Fenton is a serial killer because his fucked up childhood.
Yep.
And both of the sons are serial killers with the dad who was also a serial killer. That's kind of interesting.
And we haven't even talked about the fact that the reason Adam goes to FBI agent Wesley Doyle's office and stuff is not necessarily to confess to him. It's literally just the only way he can get him out of there so he can kill him too, because he's a demon because he killed his mother.
Yeah, that was unnecessary. in a brutal knife flashing, like stabbed her so many times in the backyard.
Well, see, and that's the thing is like once it happened, then we find out McConaughey's the sheriff and everything for Meat, Texas, which isn't a real town.
What it's called?
Yeah, Meat, MEAT.
I missed that.
It instantly threw me back to like he is actively holding a picture, framed picture when the FBI agent comes in of his mother and him and everything. There's those fingerprints. Like that's why the fingerprint thing came. Like they went out of their way to show that. There's like certain things that they could have done to like, you know, don't have that. He's just looking at the photo on there.
Right.
Or whatever. Like there's so much like unnecessary things that just completely break the movie apart. All this being said, I'm still giving it a 6 because
you are.
Ultimately there are still interesting things in here, and having seen it and just accepting the fact that it is kind of a dumb made-for-TV movie that got into theaters. Not that all made-for-TV movies are dumb, but this movie itself tries to be more than it's capable of being.
Right, because you point out the fact that he touched the picture frame, but then later on he refuses help to get into the car because he cannot be touched by the sheriff, or he can be touched, he just can't touch. There can't be contact. That confused me too.
I don't know.
Because something about like the demon you can't show yourself to the demon.
Yeah, but
the demon can't be known, and the only way he's known is if he's touched.
But Dad Meeks touches Fenton all the time, even though he's a demon.
Like none of this makes sense.
Like it's one of those things where like it sets up these rules but just doesn't follow them.
Right.
So it would make sense, the ambiguity, but like since it breaks the ambiguity, then all of these plot holes are visible. And it's all because we see the visions from Adam's perception or perspective and the tape. If you remove those two things, or remove the visions, fucking remove those, and then just make the tape just scrambly, or like, oh, it didn't record tonight or something, we can't find the tape.
Right.
That done. Now the ambiguity works.
And then there's just like a little like, ooh, ooky spooky.
Yeah, and it doesn't need to be that the fucking the FBI agent murdered his mother or something.
Right.
It could just be, you know, like, you're on my list. That's it. It doesn't fucking matter. Like, we don't need that shit.
And it could have even been they could have done that in such a cool way of, you know, he killed somebody on the job, or, you know, just a darker way. It just felt so lame of that. He's just this, like, he went on a stabbing spree to his mom.
Yeah. Killed
while she's doing laundry. Like, there could have been
killed someone, but then covered it up.
Right. Something.
I don't know.
Something to do with like a witness or, play into the FBI thing instead of him just being a disgruntled kid.
Just a really dirty cop covering up a lot of shit and everything.
Right. It just seemed like the mom thing just seemed.
It's so abrupt.
Lazy.
It's so abrupt and so violent. It's like the second most violent scene in the movie, I think. I think the most violent. Let me think here.
Because it's not even to be believed that she's like an estranged mom, because the whole point of that picture was that she was at his graduation just a couple days before.
Yeah, I don't get it. But so Bill Paxton getting the axe to the chest, I was like, oh, I knew it was going to happen, but like, okay, all right, we're going this route. This is how, because that was the big thing for me. I was like, so how does Dad Meeks go? Does he just leave the family? Does what happens? Okay.
Right.
And then young Adam ends up killing the dude in the fishnet shirt. That is just the best boyfriend or husband ever.
Yeah. He had
Fuck you, bitch. The first line of dialogue basically from this guy.
Right. You don't even have to believe in demons to think that guy needed to be ended.
But I really like is probably the wrong word, but I thought the stalking scenes were good and creepy. Like them going up and being like, yeah, we got a flat tire and all this. Do you have that kind of stuff? Or them just sitting outside of the convenience store waiting on the older guy, and it's Fenton is like looking under the car, like, my dog's under there.
Yeah.
And Paxton's there with the fucking pipe. I like that. Like that was done really well.
I agree. Paxton could have been scarier. His face, once again, was not believable.
But it's one of those things where he's still he's doing what God is telling him to do. But at the end of the day, he is not this sounds weird.
Okay,
he is not a murderer. So he's scared doing this stuff too.
That's fair.
So
I just don't think I like Bill Paxton. That's what all this is coming down to. I'm realizing I just don't like his face.
Oh, I know that all too well. I think I've had that problem with a lot of actors before.
Yeah. I will say, going back to the asshole boyfriend, when he took them to the shed, I was hoping that the tables were going to turn and that guy was going to be murderous to them. I thought that would have been really cool, which he does attack Dad. But I think that's only because Dad is wielding that pipe.
Yeah. Well, and I like the kind of twist that not twist, but the confirmation of young Adam, because, Dad Meeks gets the axe to the chest and he whispers to the kid. And I'm assuming at that point that he is going to then kill Fenton or something. Oh. That's what I thought was going to happen. And then no, he ends up killing the fishnet shirt guy,
Finish him.
And he's just and that shit's good. Kid with an axe. I'm here for that. I don't like kid actors necessarily, but I thought that kid did well. What's his name?
Yeah.
Jeremy Sumpter. I'm 90% sure that this kid is in a movie that I have seen before called The Sasquatch Gang.
Oh, okay.
I'm about to find out, but yeah, I thought they did well.
You are correct.
Is he? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that movie's, if you like stuff like Napoleon Dynamite and stuff, it's kind of in that realm.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I thought he did a better job than Fenton, because I don't know what it is about Fenton. He looks like every kid that's cast for that role in the 70s. He reminded me a lot of the younger brother in the new It movies. Or not the younger brother, the older brother that sends Georgie out into the rain. Have you seen those?
I have, yeah.
Kind of reminds me of him. He just, it's like this, for lack of a better term, this picturesque child, and just this is what it is, So, you got anything else you want to say about this movie?
No, I mean, other than I liked the kids. I liked Fenton's role. I liked when, I think it was after that first week when he's in the dungeon, essentially, and they asked, Bill Paxton asked if he saw God, and Fenton was like, "There is no God."
Yeah.
I was like, you you're such a strong little boy.
Well, and I like that
Like-
thing where he opens the hatch
Mhm.
and like kind of does that thing, and just the fucking like slamming the door down and just nailing it back shut. I'm
Yeah.
like, that's fucking so cold, so evil. But yeah, so
And then Fenton is just like standing by his own convictions of like, Dad, you're a fucking nutcase.
yeah.
This is what I believe. So I think those are the reasons why Fenton then turned into a serial killer.
Very true. Yeah, just all of the fucking psychological torment that his dad
Right.
put him through. But it's the weird thing that like when we see him as an adult, he's got like a crucifix tattooed on his arm, it looks like. And he's
Right.
got
I don't
all the biblical stuff on the wall. I don't get it. Like
I don't get that either. I don't get why he had the list.
no.
I don't understand the beginning where he's
think the
calling.
I think the list was left there by Adam. After
Okay,
he
that would
kills
make
him,
sense.
it makes sense that he kills him and marks off everything and just goes and does the thing to pin it all on him. The reason, though, it doesn't work is because there are fingerprints. And scene.
Maybe since this was set in the 70s.
Not the
That
real
was-
time. It wasn't. It's supposed to be set like
Oh, you're right. you're
current
right.
day.
That would still be. Did they have fingerprinting in 2000?
Yes, they had fingerprinting in 2001. What the fuck is wrong with you? Fingerprinting is one of the oldest styles of detective work.
True. The Sherlock Holmes era.
Jesus Christ.
Very good point.
On that
Dude, I'm
note,
trying. I am like,
you give it a 4. I give it a 6.
yeah.
IMDb gives us a 7.2.
Wow.
IMDb
Are we still
loves-
factoring theirs in?
Yeah, for the time being.
Okay. That gives this movie a 57.
So by all accounts, you'll more than likely like this film. And here's something, right? If we would have watched this not running a podcast and stuff, so much of this would have been forgivable because we're not going to critique it to this degree.
That's fair.
I
I still wouldn't care to watch it again.
that's fair.
Like,
This seems like it is straight up possibly like a top 5 movie for mom.
yes.
Mom would
Like I said,
love this.
This seems like a movie that would be playing on USA in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
This is right
absolutely.
there with like Tremors.
Whoa.
And-
Tremors fucking rips.
Are you serious? I
Yes.
hate that
Oh.
movie.
Well, do you understand that it's supposed to be tongue in cheek, right? Like it's not supposed to be scary. It's supposed to be kind of comical.
Okay, well, I remember watching it as a child and it just being dumb.
Hell yeah, it's dumb.
So I
It's
guess that
fucking
makes
graboids
sense.
coming up and eating cars, and we got people like, God damn it!
I just remember
Reba
like
McEntire's in it.
yeah, the airport scene. I think it like comes up and eats the plane. I can't remember. I
We're
just
gonna
remember
be-
them being in an airport.
I think we need to put Tremors on
No.
this list.
I don't think so. Never.
All right, well, it's homework
Anyway,
time.
that's Frailty.
We're watching Tremors. No, I've got something wildly different in store.
Okay.
So we're done with no unsolicited Nick Pick March. How do you
It was
feel?
a good month. I feel okay. I'm glad that I had full say, which also means I have full responsibility in some of these not being that great. But I stand by my picks. I ruined some history for myself.
Yeah, that's the worst
Uh-huh.
when you're like, I remember this being great. Oh,
And I never want to watch some of them again.
it's
So
okay.
there's that.
It's okay.
But, we'll soldier on.
Yes. And by that, we are getting into April.
Okay.
So, for our first movie for April, we are going to be covering David Cronenberg's Videodrome.
Okay.
Are you familiar with this at all?
Nope.
All right. So, it came out in 1983, stars
All
James Woods. You may remember him from Vampires.
Oh, God. Okay.
And Debbie Harry. You may know her most as Blondie, the musical artist.
Oh, I do know her.
Yeah.
Is James Woods also the voice of Hades?
Goddamn
in
right he is.
Hercules. All right, let's do this.
So yeah, Videodrome it is. That's what we will be covering. Let's see
Sounds
here.
good.
I don't know if it's streaming anywhere per se. Watch movie. Little paywall, $3.79, $3.99, so on and so
Alright.
forth. But yeah, I'll give you this. It's surreal. It's weird. It's got body horror elements because that's
fuck.
David Cronenberg is
Yeah.
body horror. So this is
Right.
the same director that did The Fly. And I think that this predates The Fly. I think this one came out a couple years prior. So
All right.
that is what we will be covering for next week. For Pot of the Dead, I am Nicholas.
And I'm Natasha.
Come back and listen to us, or else.